One of the main things I see people do wrong on the range is a bad shooting stance. How's it going, guys? Welcome back to the Pilot Patriot channel. Now, a while back I decided to do some basic pistol shooting videos, really get back to the fundamentals and show some of you guys that are either new to shooting or looking for a way to shoot better, some ways they can improve their fundamentals to do just that. If you like these kind of videos, make sure you hit that subscribe button down below and hit that notification bell so you get notified every time we upload new videos. First video in this series was a proper handgun grip. If you want to check that out, I'll put a link to it right up here at the top of the screen. But today we're going to be talking about stance. Now, there are two main stances that are generally acceptable and really give you the proper support and the proper structure you need to shoot well. Now, the first of these is called the Isosceles stance. Now, it starts out similar to any other athletic stance. If you're an athlete, some of this may be familiar to you, but you want to start out with your feet shoulder width apart, maybe a little bit wider. That's just going to give you a little more support, a little more balance. So feet shoulder width apart. You want to bend your knees slightly. Now, you don't need to get out there and bend your knees too much. Just bend your knees slightly, give you a little bit more mobility, a little bit more balance. Next thing you want to do is you want to get your chest out in front of your waist. And what I mean when I say that is a lot of people, especially newer shooters, you'll see them get out there and they're shooting like this right here. Now, this is bad for a lot of obvious reasons. You've really lost your balance. You're putting most of your weight behind your feet. And as we know, when we're shooting, that gun's going to recoil, and all that force coming backwards is really going to make you move even more. So you want to get your chest out in front. You want to be slightly bent forward or at least straight up. I prefer to be slightly leaned forward. Now, you want to start out with that good grip like we talked about in the other video, but you want to get your arms out straight. You bring your gun up to eye level, not your eyes down to gun level. You'll see a lot of people do something like this right here, where they're all bent over, the super tactical guys. That's not necessary. You want to bring your gun up to eye level. Now, that's going to do a few things for you. Number one, it's going to allow you to acquire your target a lot faster. If I'm already looking at that target and I bring my sights up to eye level, common sense says that my sights will be at least close to on target, and then I can adjust a little bit from there. But if I'm bringing my gun up and my head down, then I have to do two things. I got to find the target and I have to find the sights. So you want to bring your gun up to eye level, lock both of your wrists. That's very important. And what that's going to do for you is when that gun tries to recoil, it's going to put a lot more of that force straight back into your arms rather than rising. Feet shoulder width apart, slightly lean forward with that gun up to eye level. And that's a proper isosceles stance. Now, one variation of the isosceles, they call it modified isosceles. The only difference is instead of your feet being side by side, shoulder width apart, you're going to bring one foot back a little bit. So some people just feel more supported that way. They feel like they have better balance that way. So that's perfectly acceptable. That's called the modified isosceles. Everything with my upper body is still the same. The next stance I'm going to talk about is the Weaver stance. So it starts out similar. We're going to have our feet shoulder width apart, and what you're going to do is you're going to take your dominant foot and you'll bring it back. Now, you don't want to bring it back too much. There's no reason to be super wide. Just bring that dominant foot back a little bit, similar to the modified isosceles. You still want to be slightly leaned forward, and you're still bringing your gun up to eye level. But instead of locking both of those arms out, what you're going to do is bring your dominant arm out. It's going to be slightly bent. It's not locked. It's slightly bent. And then you're going to bring that support arm up, and that's going to be bent at almost a 90-degree angle. So that does bring the gun in a little closer to you, but this is still an acceptable stance. A lot of times you'll see police officers or military use some variation of a Weaver stance because it is easier to move when you're in a Weaver stance. It's easier to clear rooms, get around barriers and things like that. Now, one variation of the Weaver, and I prefer this, if I'm going to do a Weaver, I prefer the modified Weaver. It's exactly the same. You're still going to have one foot back. You're still going to have your support arm bent. But instead, you're going to lock that dominant arm and that dominant wrist. To me, I feel like that gives me more support. So a modified Weaver looks something like this right here. Now, just to be 100% honest with you, I do prefer an Isosceles, and I feel like I have much more support, much more control of my gun, much more control of my body when I have an Isosceles stance. Now, obviously, your situation is going to dictate what you do. Depending on the situation, you may have to modify that stance a little bit, but those are the 4 main stances that are generally accepted and that I'd like to see you do on the range. Now, if you're getting that good grip, like we showed in the other video, and you're getting that nice supported stance, I promise you, when you get out to the range, you're going to start shooting a whole lot better, and you're going to see those 8-inch groups tighten up to 4-inch groups, 2-inch groups. Practice makes perfect, so make sure you get out to the range and practice these things. Now, I hope this video has helped you out. If you're a new shooter, or if you're just a guy looking to shoot better, I hope this series of videos is helping you out. If you like these kind of videos, make sure you hit that subscribe button down below and hit that notification bell so you get notified every time we upload new videos. And if you want to help support the channel, you can do that over at pilotpatriotapparel.com and get you some really cool patriotic and Second Amendment t-shirts. Thanks for watching, guys. Please like, share, and subscribe, and happy shooting.